Hey, what is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with the part 2 video for my Dark Dimension 6 preparation. Especially now that we've gotten some great insight in regards to the completions with some of the top tier in-game players. Well, we got some more information now to work with, and of course, guys. So I'll link the part 1 of my video where we did go through global and cosmic, but in the rest of this video, we're gonna be going through the remaining sections as well as what I would recommend, as well as my game plan for what to build. So a lot of these slides are gonna be similar to what we've seen before. I'm just gonna go past here the sections we covered before, but just a little bit of an update here for cosmic, guys. Now that we know Val is in the game, when I made this last time for my part 1, it was unsure what character that would be, but now that we've seen the capabilities, Val can easily be on the must build here next to Cersei and Icarus if you guys are planning to prepare for that cosmic section. All right, so moving forward here, the city section. So we got some great information and insight in regards to the last 24 hours of folks completing Dark Dimension 6, and it is pretty clear who some of the more obvious choices will be. For sure, Cloak and Dagger are going to be locked just because of their synergies, the amount of debuffs they can bring to the table. But as well, we've seen the synergistic combinations with Firestar as well as Gwenpool, with them being in the New Warriors team. So they're a very, very strong consideration. Just keep in mind, though, Gwenpool is another Mystic character, and we're getting pretty front-ended and loaded here in terms of gear material requirements for all the Mystic characters involved. So just something for food for thought. Also, Firestar and Gwenpool having less available yellow stars in the game. They may not be as powerful as characters such as Shang-Chi, Squirrel Girl, and Spider-Man 2099. Having said that, Spider-Man 2099 is pretty much a lock with Cloak and Dagger. That's pretty much who I'm going to be including. Depending on how the remaining New Warriors are, allowed to be farmable in the coming months here, that's going to definitely dictate my decision. But most folks are going to have Shang-Chi and Squirrel Girl built up already. If you do, they're still a really good B-tier team. It's just they do lack crowd controlling aspects. Shang-Chi does have the turn meter rewind, but what they'll bring in is a lot of sustain. And to be honest, it's going to be about making meaningful attacks and utilizing debuffs that the New Warrior synergy will take advantage of. So for me, Cloak and Dagger are locked. Spider-Man 2099 is who I'm bringing in, and depending on how the farming order comes out for Firestar and Gwenpool, that's going to make my decision. But otherwise, Shang-Chi and Squirrel Girl are going to be on the bench ready to go if need be. But keep in mind, you just need to invest in gear for them if you want to bring them up for Dark Dimension 6. Next, we have the part 1 of the legendary section, guys. So unfortunately, there is a lack of options here, guys, just because of the fact that we're not allowed horsemen. And I don't believe Apocalypse is allowed either, as he's part of that threshold there. So just because from what I've seen, I don't think he's allowed. So that really leaves us with some of the more powerful legendaries in the game, but it takes out a couple as well. As you can see, Magneto is not in this list as well, just because even though he got reworked and buffed up, he just does not have a lot of sustain in terms of the energy. His abilities are pretty much a one and done, and after that he's not doing much for the rest of the team and doesn't have synergy with the rest. So that's why he's not on this list. But having said that, Nova, Nick Fury, Omega Red, Shuri, these 4 are going to have some amazing synergies. Just the 4 of them, they're going to be getting a lot of crowd controlling aspects, a lot of sustain, protection, and even having minions to soak up damage and provide the additional support. Those 4 are going to do a really heavy number. So that pretty much leads us now then, who's going to be the 5th character to essentially round out the rest of the team. And I think that's going to be dependent ultimately on the gear, as well as kind of what you're looking for in your synergy. So for example, I think Adam Warlock is definitely the most practical out of Phoenix and Jubilee, just because of the supportive capabilities he has. He also has a revive for himself. He's got ability block and stuns. I think he's great. The only downside with him out of these 3 is the fact that he is another Mystic Cosmic character. So for him, he's going to be costing more of that Mystic gear, and that's just going to add to, obviously the bottlenecks that are going to be built up on top of each other. Phoenix and Jubilee are interesting because, Phoenix was previously deemed as the Queen of Dark Dimension, where her abilities, even though she may not have great sustain, it's her damage, and she can actually make a meaningful dent each time that Dark Phoenix comes about, just because of the fact that she takes a percentage-based attack on the enemies, even with her falling. So for that reason, I think, in the past Dark Dimensions and going forward, she's always going to have some sort of niche role in Dark Dimension if you need someone cheap, just because as well, she's actually the lowest gear investment out of all these characters here, with her needing the least amount of materials. Then we have Jubilee. She's interesting because her meta's kind of fallen out. No one uses Astonishing X-Men anymore, but she does have a useful kit in the sense that she can blind, she can turn meter rewind additionally with a stun. So I mean, she's had a value in the previous Dark Dimensions. It's just unfortunately not a lot of players are going to have her built up to this point, especially with Astonishing X-Men, being replaced by Dev Seed in the raid meta. So again, and keep in mind too, Jubilee does cost more mutant gear materials than Phoenix, so it's kind of pick your poison at that point, right? So do you want a character that has some use, or a character that's more relevant, but she's fallen out of the meta with her team? So I'll leave that with you guys. I personally am leaning towards either Phoenix or Adam Warlock. But again, it's going to be dependent on gear. But thankfully, Nova, Nick Fury, Omega Red, and Shuri, they're a very powerful four-member combination already. And we just essentially need to round out the rest of this team. Last but not least, so Legendary Section number 2, basically Apocalypse Saga 2.0 here. Because honestly, the most feasible team is giving a combination of the Horsemen. But remember, we need debuffs, we need sustain, damage, and crowd control. And we don't have any options because this section was essentially made for the Horsemen themselves. And as well, you can also still use legendary characters from this section, but I just wouldn't recommend it because the amount of power and power creeping, the statistical bonuses and buffs that they have with each other, it just overshadows any of the other past legendary characters. The only exception here, as you guys can see, was Nova. With him being a previously released character, he actually has amazing synergies with the rest of the Horsemen. So he's a great consideration. Again, though, he is Mystic. So you're going to potentially need to have more gear investment for the Mystic gear bottleneck. So that's something for food for thought. Whereas Archangel is mutant. So if you guys are strapped and you're not even able to use Nova in Legendary Section number 1 here, well, a great consideration then here is Archangel. But yes, these guys are going to get the job done. It's just a matter of time. I've seen some meaningful attempts done in the leaderboard damage for what's shown right now in Dark Dimension 6. And these guys are absolutely crushing it. The 4 Horsemen and Apocalypse can get it done, or you can actually swap in Nova for Archangel, and that seems to be a very effective and potent combination as well, as Archangel is definitely the least important out of the 4. So that's a wrap, guys. That's pretty much in a nutshell the entire preparation in terms of my game plan. I think this at least paints us a pretty good roadmap for the characters that we can look towards building. But just a modest reminder here as well, guys, if I go back here, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Just remember, we're focusing on the quality, not the quantity of the characters. And obviously, like you said before, Apocalypse Saga is still ongoing. So I mean, if you're just trying to unlock a bigger Apocalypse 2, that's definitely a road that you can take as well. But remember, you want to be building up the earlier section characters before you attempt later sections such as City and Legendary, because Global and Cosmic, you can have access to them right away, and that way you're able to make some meaningful progress day by day if you are partaking in Dark Dimension 6. And as well, last but not least, Alliance, Raids, War, Crucible, everything still matters, guys. But obviously, Dark Dimension 6, you can run it twice. It's great for the rewards. But remember, once it's done, it's done. So that's why it shouldn't be an end game. But it's a great goal to have in this game, especially when we're trying to unlock a bigger Apocalypse as well. I'm in no rush to get into it because there's a lot of gear investment I need. But hopefully in the coming months, they're going to really releasing more teal gear, obviously for the rest of the community. But the gold should be better in the coming months as well. Once we have more access to the gears and materials, I'll definitely be making those videos to showcase for you guys my attempts. But that's the strategy right now. I'll link the part 1 in the description below if you guys are interested. Check out what I've selected for Global and Cosmic and why. Thank you as always. Do appreciate you guys checking out my videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.